I'm the Jaded Marketer. I promise, I do love what I do. I love marketing. I love coming up with creative campaigns and putting them into action. But at the same time, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills the longer I stay in the corporate world. I am jaded and a bit burnt out, but I am not hopeless. This podcast is a collection of my stories from my tenure as a marketer or current trends I'm seeing in the marketing world. This podcast is for those that feel like they're missing something and wondering if every meeting is just a joke. For those that don't buy into some of the corporate bullshit and just want to punch some colleagues in the throat. For those that just want to do their job, do it well, and enjoy it along the way, even if they're a bit jaded at this point. Feedback is important. Feedback helps us grow and see perspectives outside our own. But some people are not good at giving feedback. Sometimes the feedback is ultimately useless. I loathe when I've finished incorporating feedback onto a project and then my manager or a colleague asks to run it by just one more person. And this one person is going to mess up my day. Because this one person is inevitably bad at giving feedback. They will be one of the types of reviewers that make me question if I should go back to school to become a mortician, because working with dead people would be so much more peaceful than having to work with these fools. I am going to rank these reviewers from best to worst. The contributor. This person does not care. They didn't even read or look at what you sent them, but they need to leave some sort of comment somewhere so it looks like they contributed. Often these comments are inane, such as, "Love this," or "This is a powerful quote," or "This is great, should be a great conversation starter on LinkedIn." I appreciate that they put in the effort to look like they reviewed it, but I spend more time closing out the comments than they put in leaving them. Just slack me on the side saying you looked and it's good to go. This is the person that might chime in later and recommend going back to what was written or done in the previous version, and you could say you did, and they won't know the difference. But the name did appear in the comments, so they can say they helped bring this project to life. Luckily, this person is easy to work with because they had the opportunity to review something and didn't make your life a living hell. And you can often disregard and resolve their comments within seconds of them leaving them. Their feedback is easy to take because it challenges nothing nor adds a new perspective. The thought leader. This person has opinions, and they aren't afraid to share them and clog up your document with page-long comments. They too want to make sure people see their name in the comments and that they're doing work, but most of the time, their feedback is just them begging others to recognize how smart and ahead of the curve they are. This person thinks they've mastered the humble brag. If they can drop in the name of their former employer to seem like a big deal, they will. If they can hint that they know what's on the CEO's mind because they're just so close, they will. If they can bring up a recent article that inspired them that we should also read before doing one more minute of work because it is life-changing and will change how we tackle projects forever, they will. Sometimes they go the extra mile and send you a voice note over Slack to convey what they're thinking because they're better at rambling than actually being concise with their feedback. It's a ton of fun to incorporate these uninspired ramblings into the work, let me tell you. They love looping in others, love sharing their opinion, and love seeing their name attached to projects so they seem like a crucial team member. They are most often not crucial to the success of many campaigns. But often you can get them to cool their jets by affirming that, yes, they are smart, they are wise, they are inspiring. Their thoughts should be heard by everyone, yes. Give this person one iota of validation and they'll be happy. And then you can do whatever you actually need to do with their feedback, including putting it in the bin. The mathematician. This person always adds more work to your plate because they want this one piece to do everything, and they often ignore instructions or context. They are the ones sprinkling a document with notes like, what if we add a section about X? What if we have the data team pull stats on Y? What if we collaborate with a customer to better explain Z? But when it comes time to add all of this to a piece, they've suddenly disappeared. They'll share what you should do, but can't be bothered to help implement their so-called fixes. This person wants you to do it all and often ignores instructions. So you've told them this one piece is in a series and meant to focus on X, Y, and Z. They're asking why you didn't also focus on T, U, and V. They just want to keep adding things and diluting a campaign in the process. Strangely, they never seem to want to subtract things, just add. Typically, you can work with this person by reminding them the scope of the project, telling them their ideas are great for a future asset or campaign, or simply ask for their assistance in adding all of their ideas, and they will disappear faster than a fart in the wind. The unhelpful hater. This person is the contributor, but dialed up a notch. They did review a piece, they did leave comments, but they won't get specific. They are the personification of, I sense a but coming. The unhelpful hater loves to leave comments like, it's a great start, but I like this, but it's creative, but this just isn't hitting like it should. And what do you want me to do about it? Could you actually be helpful in your feedback? Could you tell me exactly why you like something but don't feel it's right? What specifically isn't right? The words, the tone, the stats, the CTA? What? When you ask for specifics, they continue to be vague and say they'll know what's right when they see it. Just keep working on this draft. There's no guidance or explanation whatsoever. They don't know what they actually want, but seem to know what they don't. Can they verbalize what they want? No. Can they verbalize why they don't like something? Also no. No, they cannot. This person is a pain in the ass to work with. There's no beating around the bush. If you find yourself with an unhelpful hater in your feedback loop, may God have mercy on your soul. The thief. This person wants to be a thought leader, but they truly have no real opinions of their own. They simply steal from others. They love to start off comments with, I think, and you know it's a lie because they didn't actually think. They ran the piece through AI and asked it for ideas of things that could be improved to make it more elevated. They will send you links to other businesses' campaigns and say we need to do exactly like they did. Just copy this blog. Just recreate this advert in our company colours. We need to send out this exact email too. They hide their incompetence behind stealing from other brands or will point to those above them to make the feedback and opinions seem more credible. They'll drop a, remember when the CEO mentioned X? I think we should include something about that in here. Congratulations, you're a parrot. How about you try having an original thought? The thief is kind of the worst because not only do they steal their unique and creative ideas, but they also want to steal the credit. If you do not thank them for the contributions and stolen ideas, there will be hell to pay. Fortunately, they have no convictions of their own, and when push comes to shove, they'll back down first because they don't actually know what they're talking about. You can do whatever you want with their feedback. Use it, put it in the bin, they'll go along with it, as long as they're thanked for participating and planting the seeds in the first place, even if they didn't. The micromanager. This is the person who will highlight every word they don't personally like, every statement they think should be rewritten because that's not how they would write it, and is the person you want to tell to just do it themselves then next time. They make your asset or project bleed. This person is obsessed with the tiny details and can't see the bigger picture. They think their job is to proofread a piece instead of reviewing it as a whole and point out everything they do not like and what they think they could have done a better job at. Like the unhelpful hater, their feedback is subjective, but I suppose it is specific. And you have to have at least 5 back and forth conversations in the comments before they'll allow you to do what needs to be done. They will be in your documents at all hours of the day, just creeping and waiting for you to make your next mistake. Dread fills your stomach. A shiver runs down your spine when you see their avatar or initials access the document. The worst part is you'll incorporate their feedback and then they'll add more feedback that contradicts what they've said previously. Or they'll add comments on things they themselves rewrote or reworked and say it sucks. I'll admit that does make me laugh for a second, and then it turns into a sob because it feels like a joke. This can't be real life. This person sucks and lives to make everyone just as miserable as they are. It's often easier to just give in to whatever they want. Hopefully, you can have a pint while you incorporate all the feedback. If there is a genie out there granting wishes, I'd like to ask that micromanagers lose the use of their fingers. The shitty stakeholder. This person always misses the deadline, but demands to be in the loop and requires changes, freaks out about why it's written like this when messaging was provided by them, and promises they can get a fab customer testimonial or quote, and never delivers. This person is supremely annoying, thinks quite highly of themselves, but tends to hold a position of power, so you just have to close your mouth, smile and nod, and do your best to get them to do their job. If you message them with a reminder about their feedback being due, they yell at you because don't you know how busy they are? They know they need to get it in and will do so before the deadline. If you don't message them, they then turn around and ask how the hell were they supposed to know they needed to do this, even though you gave them a due date originally. They often seem put out for having to do a review or lament that this project could have really been something if they'd been involved earlier. So you try to involve them earlier in the next project, and they don't bother to get involved until the end again. You cannot win with this wanker, so do not let them or their feedback get you down. But do try to get as far ahead of a due date with this person as you can, because they will always miss it and they always have hundreds of changes when the project is launching in a day or two. The asset assassin. This person is the worst. They suck the fun out of everything. This wanker comes in at the final stage of a project just to kill it, to make sure you wasted time on something that is now dead in the water. They'll simper and say, what a good little worker bee you are since you spent so much time on this project, but it's just not the right time for it. But go work on this other campaign now until they inevitably kill that too. The assassin also tends to be the person who sent you after-hours messages about this project or scheduled tons of meetings or gave you an unrealistic due date so you busted your ass to get it done on time, just so they could detonate it. If you have this reviewer on your team, find a new job. Leave this company. This organization sucks. So how do you deal with these feedback freaks? You put the logic and strategy up front. When you send out a piece for feedback, include a brief explanation providing context for the project. Explain why it is the way it is, what data supports the decision for this piece to be as it is, and share information if this is part of a series or wider initiative. It's a subtle reminder that you're not looking for creative direction or guidance, or looking for ideas of what this piece could be instead. It's about reviewing what is. Be specific about the feedback you're seeking. When asking for feedback, be specific. Are you looking for this reviewer to do some fact-checking? Are you looking for this reviewer to make sure their client is well represented? Are you looking for this reviewer to ensure messaging is on target? Give the reviewer instructions so they don't think it's a free-for-all review. Track changes or limit document reviews to comments. Ask your reviewers to use track changes if they're editing a document directly, so you know what was changed, and ask them to leave a comment to provide context on why they made that edit. Or restrict a document to comments only, so you can see all the feedback and make the changes yourself. And it leaves a jumping off point if people are providing contradictory feedback, so you're not constantly updating the same section over and over again. Set time for co-working editing sessions. One thing I found really useful is to do live edits with the reviewer. By working on the piece together at the same time, you're able to talk through things and bounce ideas off each other. It also moves things along a lot faster than going back and forth in the comments for 3 days. A 30-minute Zoom call has saved me hours of work by hearing directly from the reviewer simply because they weren't good at writing out their feedback, but could explain it better over a call. Set a due date. Give reviewers a date for when feedback is due and make sure that gives you time to do your revisions. There are 2 methods I've used that work well. One is to give them a shorter window of time so they have to get it done quickly, like 2 or 3 days. Or give them a bigger window, but give them a 5-day notice that the due date is coming up. Be open to conversations and new perspectives. You should also be open to new ideas and thoughts in the feedback phase. It's easy to get defensive, but remember, for the most part, looking at you micromanagers, the feedback isn't a personal attack against you. Separate yourself from your work. You probably don't have all the answers or know everything. So be open to hearing diverse perspectives and the expertise of others. Treat feedback as a growth opportunity. As much as these types of reviewers may make you want to rip out your own eyeballs, you will work with them. They exist in every organization. But learning how to manage them and their feedback can make working with them a lot easier. But if you've just had a meeting with an asset assassin, I'll be waiting for you at the pub. Toodaloo, my fellow jaded marketers.